Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Inventors Launchpad Network. I am Carmine Danisco, your co-host for today's show of Title Innovations. With me, I have my co-host, the man of the hour, the gentleman who is responsible for United Inventors Association, Mr. Warren Tuttle. What's happening, Warren?
Hey, Carmine. Good to see you.
I'm doing good. What's going on? I know you're up in Connecticut. It's a little burry up there, right?
Yeah. It's a little chilly up here. Not quite as cold as our next guest is feeling out in Chicago, but we got a little below zero the other day, and it was amplified by the fact that and I saw you down there. We were just at a PGA show in beautiful Florida, so the change in climate was rather dramatic coming home.
I tell you what, man, I appreciate you bringing me over to that PGA show. That was a lot of fun giving out the awards. Those inventors were awesome, but they were super grateful for, just being mentioned. They were really having a good time.
I'm so happy you came over and got to experience that. I know you're over in Clearwater, and the show was in Orlando, PGA golf show, and we had about 25 inventor booths. Not a big show, but I think the quality, Carmine, of the inventors was awesome this year. And some of the winners were getting a lot more tech oriented and high tech. It was, and I know you got a chance to meet them all. And for people who were watching our Facebook Live last week, but I want to just thank you again for schlepping over to Orlando and spending time with us.
Oh, it was great. I had a great time. And as you said, I mean, I'm a golfer. I know you like golf, but the show was huge. I didn't realize what a big show that is. The PGA show is it's unbelievable how big.
That's Golf Central, not only for the United States, but I don't know if you noticed how many people were there from around the world.
Wow.
It was good time over, and it basically also kicks off our trade show season. At the United Inventors Association. It's the first show of the year. It's a fun one to get warmed up on. It's a small show, relatively for us. It's kind of like Alabama beating up on, Southern Louisiana State or something, 88-0 in the first game. But it gets us up and running, and now we go on to Toy Fair in 2 weeks, and then Houseware Show, which we'll talk to Calvin a little bit about in March, and then on to Hardware and other bigger shows. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think most of the country will love to ring spring in after this craziness, and that's kind of brings us to our guest, man. Why don't you bring him on? Let's get this going.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really, really pleased today to bring on a really good friend of mine, Calvin Flowers from Chicago. And let me just boast about Calvin a little bit. I've known Calvin for many years now, and he started and runs the best, in my opinion, inventor club in the country in Chicago. Started with small roots and has grown this into, well, he'll give us the numbers on it and so forth. It's a club, an inventor club, which I think is the backbone, really, of the inventor industry in the United States, or the inventor community. Many cities and small areas have them around the country, but Calvin's club meets every month. I think he'll go into a little bit more. I think the second Tuesday of every month. They have regular speakers every month and great events. This coming month, they have a guy named Paul LaRue, who's an angel investor and also a pitch coach. Anybody in the Chicago area, should join the club and go. It's a must. But we'll let Calvin get into that a little bit more. But it's my pleasure to welcome Calvin. How are you, Calvin?
I am doing wonderful, Warren. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Well, absolutely. But you look warm and toasty, and yet I'm reading about the temperatures out there in Chicago this week. Tell me a little bit about the weather.
Well, right now we're thawing out. Right now we're 8 degrees right now. So, but the last couple of days have been really brutal. They call it Siberia.
So when you look out on that lake, that beautiful lake there, Michigan, is it frozen? I mean, you skate out there? Or what?
Yeah, it's frozen. You actually have people out there that's trying to walk on it. I don't know where that mentality comes from, but
they start curling or something. Actually, I saw a picture in the paper the other day of a boat going down the river there, and it was breaking through the ice.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was saying, wow, you got a big lake like that, and they're trying to break the ice, but technology, right?
Well, hopefully the next time we see that river, it'll all be green for St. Patty's Day. So, but Calvin, I really appreciate your coming on today and our friendship and all that you do for the inventor community. And we want to take our our listeners through exactly what it is you do. But before we get to where you are today, we wanted to go back a few years, wherever you're comfortable, about sort of how you got involved in the inventing world. Maybe your first project, and sort of how you got started.
Well, how I got started, I'm an inventor myself, Warren. But now I'm so busy now that the inventions I come up with now, I don't have the time to pursue them because I'm trying to help so many other people. But I got started by, I invented a product that I sold nationwide in Walgreens. And when I did that, it was the internet was just, no, I don't even think it was internet, but I had no.
Outdoor hadn't invented it yet, right?
But I didn't have the slightest clue on how to bring this invention to market. But I was fortunate enough, you remember the old Minnesota Congress Inventor Club?
Minnesota's Inventors Congress with Deb Hess, right?
Right, yeah, Deb Hess, right. Well, they sent me some material in the mail on how to take your product to market. And that was really a godsend for me because, as I said, I had no clue on how to take this product to market. And basically what the product was, it started out being a product that's designed to curtail telephone abuse. Back in the day when we had those landlines,
yeah,
they used to have that rotary down on there.
Well,
and
it's kind of hard to remember since I'm probably not that old.
But sometimes you might see a little silver lock that used to be on there to prevent the dial from turning. Yeah. That's when you didn't want somebody to make phone calls, and mostly it was used to keep the telephone bill down. And but when that rotary phone went out, the touchstone lines came in, that lock went out also. Right. So I invented a way to lock that touchtone telephone with the key as well. And it turned out to be a great device to supervise children on the internet, because back then AOL was the predominant service provider, and the kids were getting in trouble in those chat rooms, and the telephone, and people didn't know that telephone bills were you were being charged by the minute by being on the AOL. So I came up with this device. Walgreens liked it. So, I managed to figure out how to, sell it to them nationwide.
Yeah, but slow down there, okay? Because this is getting good now. So you figured it out. So let's take this a step at a time. Tell us how you figured it out. Did you do this all on your own, just with a contact at Walgreens? Was there someone that mentored you? How did you figure it out?
Well, first I had to learn about the patenting process.
Okay.
And I didn't know anything about patents at all. So somehow I got this group of people. It's a real interesting story. I had walked around with this lock in my pocket it was called security jack, by the way. I walked around with it for maybe about a year in my pocket because I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any money to take this product to market. So one day my mom was giving a barbecue in her backyard, and I had a couple of drinks that day, and I just was feeling sorry for myself. So I had broke down in tears, and my mom asked me, "Why are you crying?" And I told her, "I got this thing in my pocket that I can sell." At the time, I thought globally, yeah. But I don't have any money to advance it, to take it to the next level. And so the people that
she slapped you around, right?
Yeah, well, she did that. Stand up like a man. Stand up like a man. But when I told them what I had, everybody there they gave me $15 a piece just to do a patent search.
Okay.
And so I had an attorney do the patent search.
All right.
And she came back and gave me a letter of opinion, saying that she felt like this was a patentable idea. And she told me how much her fees were. And I took it back to those same people that gave me $15 and told them how much it was going to cost to apply for this patent. And they raised the money for that too.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then so that's how my company got started. It was Tellock Inc. All those people became investors. Right. So when we went through, found a manufacturer that could manufacture the product, and we found, got the quotes and that sort of thing. So we had some molds made, and we had the product made. I had no customer.
Back then, did you have CADs, like CAD drawings, or did you just do your own drawing, or how'd you get the price?
I think they were still calling the blueprints then. But 3D printing was just started, but they was calling it rapid prototyping at that time.
Right.
And when I went to the manufacturer, it took me a while to convince him that I could do this project. And what really helped was, it was no inventors organization. Well, it was the Inventors Organization in Chicago at that time, but it was kind of winding down. Right. So I didn't have any guidance or any backing. So, but at that time I was I was in an incubator program with Olive Harvey College, which is a community college here in Chicago. Right. So when I told the manufacturer that I was in that incubator, that gave me instant credibility. So now they believed that I could do the project. So they gave me some serious quotes.
Wow.
And so I took that back to my investors. Remember, at this time, nobody invested more than maybe $200. And I told them how much those molds were going to cost and how much the units were going to cost, and they raised the money. And so we ended up getting 10,000 pieces on what they call a blanket order. I think they still call it that.
Wow.
Where I was getting 1,000 pieces a month with no customers. So my office was filling up with all these units every month. But so fortunately, a friend of mine knew the vice president at Walgreens.
Wow.
And they gave me an opportunity to come in and do a presentation.
All right, okay.
So now how the organization got started was, I got a lot of press from this.
So you went in, so you had it all costed out. And of course, Carmine, this is kind of a great story for you too, because you help inventors develop these prototypes and merchandise. Calvin had to do this all on his own. So back in the day, by the way, about roughly what era was this now that we're talking about, like 20 years ago?
We were talking the mid 90s. Actually, I got my patent in 98. Oh. No, 90, I'm sorry, 96. I got my patent in 96.
All right, so 20 years ago, 23 years ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't make it sound like that, Warren.
I know. I think the big movie was Boogie Nights back then. No, I'm just so you costed it, then you had to figure out with Walgreens, how to price it, right? And then of course all the discounts and everything, and then you had to figure out how to ship them, right? So you had to.
Yeah, that was a very interesting story, because doing business with a company the size of Walgreens I haven't even sold to a grocery store yet, and now I'm trying to figure out how figure out the logistics on how I'm gonna ship to Walgreens. So they worked with me. They started me out with three stores. And I won't tell you how I got my sales in the 3 stores, but the 3 stores grew to 3 districts in Chicago. Then they took me regional, and then they took me national. So they allowed me to ramp up. And my manufacturer played a big role in the logistics on how to get it to their distribution centers around the country.
Right.
Because without them, I'd have been lost. So.
Of course, the whole issue of fulfillment, is an art unto itself, right? So.
Right. So when I got in there, I didn't really. As far as pricing goes, I just picked a number out of my hat what I thought was.
I hope it was profitable.
So I told them that I wanted to sell it for $19.99.
Yeah.
And they immediately told me this is a $10.99 product. And so I argued against it, and then they said, okay, we'll go with the $19.99. We want to be able to mark it up 35%, so then the wholesale cost turned out to be $12.99.
Right.
And so we went there, and they put them in the stores. They put it in that planogram where I was in the accessory aisle at eye level, and they also put me in there. At that time they had those those flyers that they would put out weekly.
Yeah.
And I think it was something like 2 million flyers every week or something like that. So that helped a lot too. Yeah. So there was, it cost a lot of money. I raised a lot of money and whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, what a great experience. So yeah, it's true. You know, so many folks, myself included, you know, see you as the main person running this club, but you have roots that go. You know, you played the game. You know, you.
Yeah, you know. And you know, look, going through it would seem like I was, you know, getting chopped up and spit out. But looking back at it, was a lot of fun. The experience was invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely. So you did this in the late '90s. So tell us how that morphed into the club. I mean, obviously you went through this difficult time, and I know you well. You're the type of person that wants to help others, which is what this is all about. So tell us how you made that shift into helping others.
Okay. Well, during this whole thing, remember I was saying that I was in the incubator program at Olive Harvey College. So they were instrumental in me getting a lot of press. I was on TV, I was in newspapers, I was everywhere. So people were reading that story, and you know, it was from the point of view of underserved, not well, I wouldn't say underserved, a poor inventor trying to navigate the process. So they told it from that point of view.
This uphill struggle, right? Exactly.
Right. So all this press, I started getting phone calls, and you know, by people helping me along the way, I felt obligated to help others. But it turned out, and they would come, you know, I would invite people to come to my office during office hours, and I would kind of tell my story and kind of give them some pointers and what have you. But then it started to be so many people that they were interrupting my day-to-day operations. So what I told them was, if I could put everybody in one room, I would share my experience, and then, you know, I thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. So everybody, they decided they wanted to start an organization.
By the way, your mom is telling you the whole time, Calvin,
yeah.
You gotta help other people. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, well, but there were so many people on that, and so they still needed so much, you know, support that they kept me, that they wouldn't let me out. And so we started having monthly meetings, and you know, we would meet at wherever we could meet, and then we gave our first conference, and then it just kind of morphed from there. And remember, at that time, there was no Inventors Organization in Chicago.
Right. Now, so what? Now, was this like in the late '90s? Right.
No, this was around 2003. Because we filed for our nonprofit. We got our tax exempt status in 2004.
Right.
But now, mind you, now a subsidiary of General Electric had infringed on my patent. I don't know if I should talk about this on.
Oh, absolutely.
No one's listening.
Okay, right.
Let him have it.
But
he's going down the tubes anyway. So no.
Well, but anybody can find it on the internet. So I guess I can say a little bit about it, even though the judge put a gag order on us. But we fought them in court. They didn't think our pockets were deep enough to fight them in court, and so we ended up getting a hefty settlement out the deal. And so that was getting pressed too. So everybody was coming to me, and I was
wow.
So that was pretty interesting.
You beat General Electric. Well, good for you, man. Good for you.
Well, it's a subsidiary. You know, they had my same product, and they put the GE logo on it.
Wow.
You know, and they had, you know, where all their distribution channels are. They all down in South America, Europe.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So that was interesting. They deposed me for 2 days.
I got to come clean, Calvin. My father worked for General Electric.
Well, I take it all back, Warren.
He was not in senior management, but trust me. But you know, but that is integral to the inventor, you know, mission and passage. You know, is you have a bigger company that infringes on you. How do you deal with that? You know, how did you deal with that? Did did you was your patent attorney helpful in fighting that battle, or did you have to get a whole new crew of attorneys, or where did you get support? That's not an easy thing to take on a company like that.
Well, at that time, Warren, there was no pro bono program like the American Inventors Act created. But no, I didn't use my patent attorney. What I did, I found an IP attorney that was in litigation that took my case on a contingency basis, sort of like you know how accident lawyer takes it, they get a 30, you get 2/3, that sort of thing.
Right.
And so he took on my case, and he really he rolled his sleeves up, and like I said, we walked away with a healthy settlement.
Well, you had a good person, and I'll just take a moment here to explain to people that in the patent fights that we're having down in Washington today to protect the independent inventor, that some of the bigger companies, not GE so much, but some of the other bigger companies, which won't go name, but you know, like Google. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But they have been trying to they call people patent trolls that are what they call non-practicing entities. And so when inventors don't have the money to fight these battles on their own, and they get someone to help them, and you have an attorney fighting your case for you, and they're not practicing necessarily themselves, and they get sort of pinned as a patent troll. And it's really highly unfair, because this person was obviously very helpful for what, you know, to accomplish what you needed to get accomplished. And other inventors should do the same thing, it seems to me, don't you think?
You know, but to that point, Warren, I've been approached by Randy and Josh, and I'm sure you know those names.
Oh yeah.
And they have asked me to get involved, but my concern with getting involved with that is being a nonprofit organization. I don't understand. It's not clear to me how a nonprofit, which is not supposed to be political,
right?
You know, would I be jeopardizing my taxes and status? And so I've been hesitant about getting involved with that.
Well, their organization, U.S. Inventor, is actually a 501c4 as opposed to ours. You know, like UIA, and I'm sure you're a 501c3, right? So they actually, as a 501c4, are allowed to lobby. You're right. 501c3s are not lobbyists. So we at UIA, we do not lobby, but we do try to educate people on what, and I think that's fair, Calvin, to educate people on you know, why some of these new suggestions are unfair for inventors, you know, and just to advocate for that cause. And so I agree with you. You can't, you know, you can't be a lobbyist or anything like that. But I think you can. I think you can speak up. So I know Josh and Randy and Paul really well, and so we try to be supportive of their efforts. But they're a little bit more of the political arm of this whole fight.
Well, just to make it clear, I do want to support, but I want to be you know, do it the right ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's good to know. And for those people that might be a little bit confused right now, basically the AIA, the American Inventors Act, that was passed in 2012, it had a few changes for inventions, but one of them was creating a patent trial and appeal board, which basically reviews patents that have already been issued upon the request of any party that's fighting on an infringement case. And a high percentage of these, like 89% of the times, the patents are getting invalidated. So it's been used as a tool for some of the big companies to sort of take out the little inventors. So anyway, without getting too far into those weeds, you know, it's a continual education, and the pendulum does swing back and forth in the patent system. But we all in the inventor community would love for the patent system to work out as it did for you, Calvin. I mean, with a lot of work and effort, but that the bigger company realized that they were infringing and settled with you. I mean, that's the, you know, we want you to profit from that at the end of the day, you know, if it's your idea and your inventions.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how I got to be the focus of this interview. Back around. So Calvin, what I'm so impressed with, so you had people come into your office. You built up organic demand because of what you had accomplished and all the press you got. You started to make new friends and line them up. how did you convert this into like regular meetings and a facility for it? And how did you fund this? And how did you grow out the club? I know where you are today, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but how did you get started in the early days?
We were meeting, well, remember that I was in the incubator program at Olive Harvey College.
Right.
So
right.
they would allow us to use classrooms and in some cases their auditorium. But shortly after we got started, oh, by the way, we found a pro bono law firm that actually did the structure, the 501c, you know, the whole package.
Right.
They did that for us for free.
Right.
And, you know, our mission, our bylaws, and all that sort of thing. They did that to help us draft that. And so we were meeting at Olive Harvey College, and then the whole administration changed, and they kicked everybody out. And but one of our members was, So anyway, they kicked everybody out. But one of our members was not an inventor, but he liked what we were doing, and he was an architecture. So he had this big facility out in the suburbs. So he told us that we could meet there once a month, and we put together a board of directors that really didn't know what they were doing, but they were all inventors. But they were, you know, they were faithful and they were loyal. You know, they were soldiers.
Yeah.
And so we met every month, and then we started to pick up a law firm here and there that was looking for new business, and they were advising us and that sort of thing. Then they would give us meeting spaces in their offices downtown and what have you. So it kind of just grew from there, and then eventually, now mind you, now we're still broke now. But no, I'm just kidding.
You're a nonprofit, Calvin. You're a nonprofit.
Yeah, nonprofit. There you go.
It's right in the wording.
Eventually, we started to get enough money to get our own facility, and then people started liking what our vision was, and they started giving us sponsorship money. And then we started to add on. Well, first we had to get office equipment, desks and computers and that sort of thing. And now we're looking at putting a 3D lab, 3D printing lab in the office, and it helped a lot by us giving our annual conferences, because we partnered with the Illinois Institute of Technology, which got us a lot of attention too.
So let's repeat that again. So now your big conference is at the Illinois Institute of Technology, right?
Yes.
And then when is that this year? It's coming up in October, I think?
Yeah, October 19th. Yeah, we do it every year in October.
And I'll tell you what, if there's, we have people from all around the country watching this, but if you're from the Chicago area, you must go to this event, and you must join the club. And you don't have to go every month. I mean, you do have meetings every month, but you got to come to that big one, and you got to come to as many as you can, because it's really a great experience. Are your meetings during the year at Illinois Institute?
What was that question?
Were the meetings like on February 9th and the ones during the year also there?
No, we're in a really cool building. It's called Lacuna Lofts. It used to be owned by, well, it's still owned by the Cacciatore family, but it used to have, the whole building was full of artists. And so we got some of the stuff you see around here, but it's a really huge building, and it has big enough spaces in the building where we have our monthly meetings here.
So, and that's right in town, right in Chicago?
Yes, right outside of Chinatown, 2150 South Canalport.
All right.
Right outside, it's a real cool area, real cool building. There's a guy saying.
All right, I'm coming over. I'll be there. And for the Housewares show, which is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, the first Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday in Chicago, in March, rather. I think that's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I'm not from memory, but I could be wrong there on the dates. But for those of you coming in for the Chicago Housewares show, reach out to Calvin too, because Calvin will be at the show for a little bit, and we'll try to hook you up. So, but Calvin, so your speakers during the year, you got someone coming in as a pitch coach. What do you try to teach with your speakers coming in? Obviously, you have people on licensing. You're talking about angel fundraising. What are some of the other things that you try to teach traditionally during the years to your members?
Well, a couple of things that I think is most important. The first being understanding the patenting process. A lot of people, you know, they don't have a clue on, you know, how to protect whatever it is. They just know they got a good idea.
Right.
And then you know, I say that the two most important things, everything is important, but they need to learn about the manufacturing process. But the way the world is headed now, the way big box stores are set up now, how hard it is to get something, first of all, get it in the store, and then the profit margins are so thin. You know, we try to encourage them to go toward a licensing deal, you know,
sure.
versus trying to venture that product. So, and then we try to, did I mention the manufacturing process? We try to introduce them to that. Even if they're doing a licensing deal, they still need to understand that process, because when it comes time to negotiating this licensing deal, if you don't understand the pricing and the manufacturing process, you're probably going to be leaving something on the table.
And what about prototypes too? I mean, to get to understand that manufacturing part, right?
You mean like this?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. We have an in-house person that does computer-aided drawings, CAD.
Well.
And then we have another guy that does 3D printing. And one of the things that he does is when a presenter, after they sign a non-disclosure, he makes an assessment on whether or not a product is manufacturable. And if it is manufacturable, can you do it in a cost-effective manner?
Right.
So those are some of the things that we try to start, you know, introducing them to early on, as far as the manufacturing process.
Your members, so they have
the prototype.
Right. So back to the patents. So we've mentioned a couple of times pro bono patents. So you know, that's a relatively new program nationally. I just had a meeting last week with Jim. We just had Jim Patterson on last week, actually, to explain that. So how do you feel, Calvin, at your club, that you understand enough about the pro bono patent program now and are tied into that, or is there more information? Has Jim been over to speak at your group and all that?
You know, personally, I feel pretty comfortable with that. I probably don't know everything, but I have a really close relationship with the pro bono patent program here at what's called the Patent Hub at Chicago Law School.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's a great one. Right.
And Mary Ann, she's the director.
Right.
And I'm on her advisory board. We meet every month also. So I got access to a lot of attorneys and also this school. So almost everybody that comes to our organization, whether they're, my first recommendation is to the pro bono patent program. We probably have half their clients are probably, more than half is from our organization.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and I've met Marianne a couple of times. She's terrific. And, you know, the whole thing, Carmine, and you know, we all want, well, for inventors, we want a strong patent system. And because when you license something like Calvin was just talking about, you have to license property. So your patent becomes your technology and your property. But, you know, if all Americans don't have access to the patent system, then that's inherently unfair. So the idea is it shouldn't just be for rich people to file patents all the time, or big companies. Everybody needs access to that. So I'm happy to say now, for people who are watching today, go back and watch the interview with Jim Patterson and talk about the National Pro Bono Patent Program and Commission, and now we're in all 50 states. So Calvin, you know, tell us a little bit about your buddy Dennis too, when he came on board. I know he's not on today, but he's a great guy.
Dennis was a godsend. I'm gonna start off by saying that. I met him at Olive Harvey College when I was in that incubator program, and Dennis had just retired from. He retired when he was like in his 40s, but I was saying when he turned.
I hate those guys.
But he used to be in the president's office of the Federal Reserve Bank.
Wow.
But he didn't feel like that was his calling. He's passionate about entrepreneurship. So when I met Dennis at Olive Harvey College, I was trying to learn how to write my business plan. And he was teaching that class. And when he found out what I was doing, he knew nothing about patents. He knew nothing about inventions. And so I was like, what they call a white elephant or something, when you walk into the room and say, where did this guy come from? What is he talking about?
Right.
But him and his assistant, they took me over to the side and shared all of their entrepreneurial experiences with me, which I needed badly, along with the invention portion of it. So they helped me go through the process, and then I asked him to be on my board of directors, and he looked at me like, what? But he eventually bought into it, and he's been with me ever since. And he's a strategic planner. He thinks things out really good.
That's great. I could just see your pitch to him, Dennis. We're not the Federal Reserve, but what can you? But so Calvin, how many members? I know everybody doesn't come to the meetings every month, but so obviously you have big turnouts. But how many total members, or what's your reach these days?
Well, we you mean dues paying members?
Well, just
well,
on the bus,
Well, current members that paid their dues, we're approaching 300 there. So we have them. We usually stay around that. We're trying to push that up to 500. But throughout the year, we probably talk to 1,600 people, including the conference throughout the year.
Yeah, and that conference is one of the best inventor conferences. I mean, you usually get a couple hundred people in for that, right? Just that alone.
Last time we got a little bit bigger than that. How many times you been out, Warren? You've been out?
Three times, I think.
3 times? It's 3 or 4.
Maybe 4. Yeah, I can't remember right now.
You always bring value, and then you always give good advice, and you help out too. You jump on different panels for me. I really appreciate. I don't know if I ever told you how much I appreciate it.
Well, I thank you. I'm a worker. You put me to work when I come out. I need something to do. I can't just stand around.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, the conference is fantastic, and you get great speakers. Nationally known people, and it's Carmine. You jump in here because I know you have a few questions. But believe it or not, we're already half an hour into this. But they do such a great job, and it's not just the information they share. It's a phenomenal community. And Calvin was talking about the people on his board being, they're the soldiers and all. I mean, it's a really uplifting group of hard workers that are always so nice and wonderful to everybody. Carmine, you got to go out one year, maybe this is October, but Carmine, jump in with some questions for Calvin also.
Yeah, thanks, Warren. And Calvin, first off, it's just awesome what you guys do up there. I've spoken at several inventor clubs around the nation, and a lot of them model what they're doing after you guys. And so I think that's a huge,
You pulling my leg, Carmine, but I accept the compliment. I appreciate it.
You do. I think you guys, you got to admit, I'm not trying to do that. You guys have one of the biggest inventor clubs, right?
Yeah. As far as I know of, I never really investigated. I just hear Warren say it all the time.
Well, I've spoken at probably 35 clubs, and I know them all, most of them. And no, it's a you know what? They're all wonderful. All the clubs are wonderful. Every single one of them. But Calvin's is really unique, and now the people are hearing the story about how it organically grew. Instead of a group of people in coats and ties and stiff collars saying we need an inventor community and starting it from above, we're talking about someone who organically lived the experience, and then from it, and that's the way the best things grow in this invention world, is from as a seed that grows. Anyway, let me get out of the way and.
No, and that's what I meant. All the clubs are great. I just think, we always need something to strive for. And I just love how you guys organically have grown, and you're really doing it for the inventor. You're steering in the right direction. And I think it's just awesome. And what I love about it is, you kind of got thrown into this. Not only did you create a product, you got your family to invest, you got people to believe in you, you slowly grew this product, and then you got hit with the patent side of it where you had to fight for your patent. So you have this vast experience, across all phases. Not that you wanted it, but you and right, Warren? I mean, sometimes people get product into stores, but they've never had to fight to keep their patent. So you've done it all in that sense. So you can speak with that with, a good amount of knowledge.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, as I said before, I get up in the morning and why am I doing this? But I guess it's my calling. That's what God ordered my footsteps to do. But I feel like if somebody doesn't know something and I have some type of knowledge that I can share with them, I just feel like I have to do it. Just to give you a quick example, on the way here this morning, the last thing I wanted to do was help somebody push their car out. They were stuck, and I was, well, if I was stuck, then I want somebody to help push me out. So I got out there, and anyway, so that's how I am as a person.
Yeah, but what's really nice about it, Calvin, because I feel a kindred spirit with you always, that there are companies out there and entities and individuals that sort of profit from inventors. They get paid by them and so forth, and so their message tends to be a marketing message that no matter what it says, the end game is to get them to pay money, to them. And I've always felt a little bit differently. I've been very fortunate that my model is, I have companies pay me, so I don't have to collect anything from inventors. And you're the same way. We're doing this because we love it, and it makes it different. It makes it more organic. It makes it more helpful. But what Carmine said is, you've had the experiences. You've been through the wars. You can translate for people instead of being a theoretical thing. That's what I've always been impressed with.
I appreciate that, Warren.
So Calvin, real quick, and I know you probably get this question a lot, and we'll start winding down. There's a lot of people out there that have ideas every day. You probably run into these new inventors, people that have had an idea for a few years. They're scared to move forward. What is one of the main 1 or 2 steps, if I have an idea, that I should do at first? What are those first couple steps?
Well, the first couple of steps is to spend less money as possible. So one of the first questions I asked the inventor, have they did a preliminary patent search, or have they did their internet marketing? Not marketing, searches, to see, just do something on their own to make sure that it's not out there. And that's the first thing. And then the second thing I would ask them to do is to do they have a working model? Does this thing work? So that's sort of how I went way back then when I did it. I kind of did it reverse. I came up with a working model to prove. By the way, I got that in a dream. What he did, I'll tell you how I came up with that lot. It's a family thing, but I had figured out how to. I had a dream on how to do this, and I woke up that morning and I went to Radio Shack, bought some parts, and put it together and to make sure it worked. And then from there, then I did a patent search. So those are the first 2 things that I think is most important. Some people take a different strategy, but to me, you gotta know that your idea work, and you gotta know that have some idea that is not out there.
Yeah,
that's really good advice. I look at 5,000 or 6,000 products a year, and that's the first things I check into myself when people come to me.
Yeah,
you're surprised, Calvin, how few people are prepared properly. So what the education that you're providing them is really helpful.
Well, as Warren and as Calvin, what I love about what both of you guys do in the UIA, Chicago Inventors Organization, is that I love what you said, Calvin. Spend as little amount of funds as possible at first. I mean, as Warren has said, there's organizations out there that make it sound so easy. Just come to us and we're going to license your product. Just give us some money. We'll help you, whatever it is. It's not easy, right, Calvin?
It's not easy. And, two things. The first thing I always tell people is to be reluctant to go through those programs on TV. You got a great idea, call us, because they're going to tell everybody they got the best thing since sliced bread. And the second thing that, the other thing is, I have so many inventors that come to me that have, given an invention promotion company $10,000, $15,000.
Yeah.
They may have gotten a patent that was issued. And my first thing is, when I see that patent, I ask them, well, I refer them over to the pro bono patent program, is to have that patent reviewed. I just don't feel comfortable with those type of.
Well, you make a good point. Not only do they pay, but the quality, is suspect. And sometimes people are getting advice and they come. I don't know, to me, and I do this for several large companies. They come so ill prepared at the end of the day. So it's kind of a shame that they had to, on top of coming ill prepared, they got to pay for that. So that's painful. But listen, Calvin, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna be in Chicago next month. We going to Buddy Guy's again? We're gonna get Dennis.
Yeah, you know what? We haven't caught him yet, but he was live there. Last week I think it was.
Was it? Well, last time we went, it was St. Patrick's Day, so we instead of getting blues, we got an Irish band, which was fine. It was good, but it was not what we were hoping for.
They were really good though, man. They were good. And by the way, that was the first time I ever went to an Irish event like that. That was really
yeah, it was great. But we weren't in an Irish pub. You know what I mean? So, but it's all good. But maybe he'll be there. I'll check the calendar this weekend and send you an email. But it'll be good to see you guys. I do
all right.
Offices for sure.
That'd be fantastic. Hey, Carmichael.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna have to come to our conference or something. We got to get you out here. It don't have to be the conference, whatever. We got to get you out here.
Come out in October and let's broadcast live from out there in Chicago.
I'd love it. That's a great idea.
And and Carmine's company's pretty cool too, and his partner Rick and how they help him manage. So we can do that offline. Maybe they can be a speaker or something. Or Calvin. Carmine and Calvin, you guys confused. Sorry about that. Great. Well, yeah. Calvin, so great to see you. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out. I know you're busy.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on. I thoroughly enjoyed.
Thanks a lot, Calvin. For all you listeners today, thank you very much for listening in today. For myself, Carmen Denisco, for Calvin Flowers, for Mr. Warren Tuttle, I thank you. And be sure to visit the Chicago Inventors Organization at chicago-inventors.org. These guys are awesome. If you have some questions, check them out. I appreciate you guys listening in, and we'll catch you next time on Tuttle Innovations. You all take care.
All righty, guys. Take care.